that you love, that you just told, are that the influences that you hear around you, or are that maybe also pieces from the things you do as a band together, or other things? What are the pieces of love exactly?
I think we definitely vibe off each other, yeah, and I think very often, you know, someone will play something, I mean, whether it be Jack on the drums or I'll play something on the keyboards or sing something even, or Charles hits out a crazy bass line or something, and then we just, yeah, you can definitely be inspired of each other, and that's quite fun writing like that and recording like that, but then also we all have quite a varied taste in music, I think, and that works really well together because we can always bring something different to a recording and make it, you know, each put our own stamp on it and make it something unique and original. So yeah, I mean, but then maybe our influence don't even come from bands. You know, you watch movies and they've got music the whole way through these days, and so it could be film music, or it could be something you hear in the background on the radio. It's just those little things always affect you subconsciously, I think.
What are the crazy bass parts that Charles plays?
Well,
watch out.
I don't. It would melt your face. I don't think you could go anywhere near that. You couldn't touch it. We had to delete it off the recording because
I had to delete it from memory.
People were just like fainting just when they came in the studio.
Everyone was having sex with each other.
Yeah.
Vomit everywhere.
Yeah. It was getting quite messy. Quite messy.
It was subharmonic Armageddon. Yeah. No, we all experimented with our own instruments a little bit more, I think, this time. But for me, and I know for the other guys as well, experimentation with your own instrument, one of the greatest things you can do is not play it. And so a lot of the time, there were parts that I would love to have played on bass guitar, but there would have been a similar technique to something I'd done on the first album. So there's a couple of points in the live show and on the record as well where, you know, the bass is solely played on a keyboard. So that's something that we started doing more. Same with the guitars, we were definitely thinking about those in a different way, using them to create a very thick texture, but one that was quite compressed and more like a really robust glaze over a song, as opposed to sort of intricate lead parts, which there are some, definitely, and in fact some of those parts that really make a lot of the songs. A song called Turn the Bells, that was the first song we ever wrote for this session, and was the first song we recorded, but it was sounding really good, and then it was only when Harry McVeigh VI, guitar player extraordinaire, stepped up near the end of the session
and laid down a few guitar parts and
laid down with
changed the song, made it magic.
A few delicious licks
guitar
over
gold,
the chorus.
Guitar gold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really blew things up.
Yeah,
Jack the drum dominator as well exploded onto the scene in a pretty extravagant way with a few of his
some trademark moves.
Trademark moves.
And we did actually try also, you know, recording things in a different order than we perhaps normally would. On the first record, we got stuck into a formula whereby we'd do the drums first, and the bass, and the keyboards, and the guitar, and the vocals last. And we did that to a large extent on this album, but some songs we tried it a different way around. And
we started with the demos as well.
Yeah, and sometimes we record the drums last even, which was very interesting. And sometimes the first thing we'd chuck on there is a crazy guitar part, something like that, and that just changed the whole vibe of the song. And so we just felt very, I think we had the confidence this time around to know that we could, if we worked hard and applied ourselves, make a good record, whichever way we did it. And so we felt, I think, freer to try a whole lot of new things, and it was really good fun. It was structured fun.
How much have you grown?
Must not turn into an all-night.
How much have you grown, we think, as musicians?
I'm around the same height as I was now.
I think I
bad
banter. Bloody hell. Come on, Jack.
We've grown a lot. I mean, 2 years of touring will change any musician, you know, stylistically and just general levels of skill at your instrument, and that's something which changed for us the whole process of recording, certainly, because it just opened new opportunities for us, things that we wouldn't have tried to do because we wouldn't have been able to last time. We're now able to have a go at. So it's been a really useful kind of learning process, you know, for the last 2 years of being on the road, as well as playing shows, which is great fun. We've all improved enough to to make something different, to make something that we would not have been able to make 2 years ago. And I would hope that that will be something that we continue to do in all of our records. You know, we're going to go and tour this album for 2 years now, so by the time we get to album 3, opportunities will be there for even more experimentation and
things that you wouldn't have tried before.
We have never written songs on the piano. We've never used the piano as an instrument. I don't know why. I think it's something that perhaps we've struggled not to make sound cheesy, and I think that's partly down to the fact that you do actually need a good piano player, someone who's really good at playing not just keyboards but specifically the piano to stop it from sounding cheesy. So maybe actually collaborate with someone who can play the piano to write a few songs, or physically learn ourselves how to play the piano well. And that would be, I think, an interesting area to explore on our next record. But we'll have to see what happens. Maybe we'll be into Mongolian throat singing and we'll try a bit of that.
I've done that already. It's my solo project.
Charles, with an earlier interview we did, I guess 1.5 years ago, you told us that about the previous album that you felt guilty about some lyrics, that they didn't have as much quality as you would hope them to be.
Yeah.
What about this new album? Are you satisfied with the lyrics for yourself now?
Yeah, 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good. It's a good score. Oh, one of them is good, but it's just it sounds more like something that would be on the first album. I think it was, but it's a really fun song, so it sort of doesn't matter. It's not a very serious song, that one, so it's kind of okay. But I think it would be a danger for myself to overthink the lyrics too much and to keep writing and keep revisiting them. I like to think of writing in the same way as I do with music, is that a lot of it comes from spontaneity and instant reaction to certain emotions or certain things that you see. And often the first reaction, though it might be a little fractured and possibly not as grammatically correct or even, you know, sort of metaphorically correct as it could be, it's more charming to have it that way. And a few of the songs on the album have lyrics that I wrote really, really quickly, and I, you know, I look at them now and I think, you know, I probably would have done it differently if I had sat at home for hours and looked at it and thought about how I could make it, you know, really, really, really amazing. But I like it. It's charming, and I think it's the way that we view our music. It's got to have little personality flaws in it, because that's what we're like as people, and that's what everyone's like as a person. And I don't think people really want perfection. I think people want to see, I don't know, details that stick out, and notice where, I don't know, notice where they may have done something differently.
What kind of things did you wanted to write about when you started this record off? Or weren't there any certain things? I don't really think about it as wanting to write about anything. I mean, I sort of just write what seems an important thing to write about at the time. But I mean, when I say at the time, it could be in a period of 5 minutes. But I definitely wanted to move into some more complicated emotions and, I suppose, like states of mind than on the first record, which was quite flat in a lot of it. It was definitely, there was a lot of doubt and a lot of fear on that one, and this one I think is much more confident. The lyrics are very confident about what they are about, but there's a lot of questions that I still ask myself every day, and I think I've put those into songs a little bit more with this record. Certainly about sort of relationships and the purpose of rituals that we go through in life, whether it's small things, religious things, or love, anything like that, I find interesting as to think about what the point of it is. So this album is basically about what you're thinking about in daily life, or?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Well, some of the
There's a
things.
big hype around White Lies. A lot of success came with it as well.
Yeah.
But, how did you experience that period that everything blew to big proportions?
We I think we tried as much as possible just to get our heads down and work through it and deliver music and shows that people would expect from a band that is hyped in the way that we were. And I think that's the best decision that you could make as a band starting out. If I was to give advice to a band starting out that was very hyped, I would say now you have to work really hard to show people that you're worth it and that you're there to stay and you want to last. And
did you ever had doubts about it, that you were good enough to fulfill the hype? No.
No, I think I'm not. That's not saying that I think we're prodigious and amazing, and I don't think we are. I just think we're three reasonably intelligent guys who know how to work hard and know how to and more than anything, satisfy our own needs for perfection in our music and in our live shows. We're always very disappointed if we feel we haven't delivered something to its full potential and to its best. And I think that's the way that every big musician is. You know, if you look at someone like Lady Gaga, you know that she's exactly the same. You know that she thinks like that, and that that's how she approaches her work and probably her whole life. Whether you like her music or not, or her personality or not, you can at the very least say that she's worked for it and she deserves it.
Did you expect it that this life would be like this, as you experienced it for the past 2 years?
We felt the weight of responsibility that a record deal and that kind of money and respect brings. I think, yeah, even before we recorded our first record, we knew that this was serious, that we had to deliver something good and we had to live up to people's expectations. Otherwise, chances are we wouldn't be able to do it for another 2 months even. We'd just be chucked by the wayside and left. So yeah, I think we were always aware of that. I'm not sure we were aware of how hard the work would be touring. I think a lot of people looking at bands that tour and bands that play big shows from the outside assume that it's all a big party and it's a lot of fun, which it is. It is a lot of fun, but it's certainly not a big party, because you couldn't sustain life on the road if you're going out all the time. You need to get a lot of sleep.
Of course. Yeah. Last question. White Lies does mean a lot to a lot of people, to a lot of fans. But what does White Lies mean for you as a band?
I think it's sort of all-encompassing. For me personally, I feel like it's filtered its way into every part of my life, which in some ways is good and is positive. Some ways not so much, especially the time. I think the time away from home, the time spent away from your base and your friends and your family and your grounding. That's quite a negative effect that. Sometimes quite a negative effect that the band and the lifestyle has on me. But as a lover of music and someone who has always had an interest in doing a job in the music industry, I think I could not have a better job in the world. And for that reason, it's a very positive aspect of my life, a very positive driving force. So that's what White Lies means to me.
And you agree with him? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's right. I think it's the culmination of many years of friendship and then many years of work. You know, before White Lies, before we were a successful band, and when we were doing it just for ourselves and for fun. It's nice now to be doing it for ourselves and then also for our fans, and that's what it means to me now. Basically, it's basically our lives, and it's just quite lucky that we get on so well.
We do, don't we?
We do get on well, though.
Don't we, guys?
We're the best of friends.
We are.
3 best friends that anyone.
3 musketeers.
That's
in
great.
it together.
Well, great to hear, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.